Would I be the asshole for confronting my family about excluding my spouse? Update. Spoke with my mom. She insists she'd never heard my spouse express interest in the concert. Didn't even think to ask or invite him. She's saying that she doesn't see him all that often, so she doesn't know what he likes, but she sees him as often as she sees me, so shrug. We're both in our 20s and he works a minimum of 50 hours a week with no weekends off, whereas she has a pretty lax office job and has weekends off. Pretty annoyed with her right now. Original. Hi all. So my family has been tossing around the idea of going to a specific concert, Billy Joel plus Stevie Nicks, for a little over a year now. Several family members expressed interest, including me, 24F, and my spouse, 25M. My mom, 47, texted me last night saying she had gotten tickets for her, my stepdad, 37, me, my cousin, 21F, my aunt, 48, and my uncle, 48. I was confused as to why my spouse wasn't included, but was busy at the time and didn't have time to ask. Later that same night, my spouse expressed disappointment, saying he felt like an outsider despite being with me for 10 years. Side note. We've only been married for 2 years, but have been in a serious committed relationship for 10. Anytime my family does trips or anything, he's automatically included. Once we found out there was no ticket for him, he began insisting he didn't really want to go. When I questioned him further, he admitted he's upset that he wasn't included in the first place and doesn't want to be included as an afterthought, his exact words. Hearing that absolutely crushed my heart. He interacts with my family more than his own family, and they've never done anything to exclude him like this before, except I guess when my mom didn't allow him to come to her wedding. But we were teenagers at that point, so I guess I can let that slide with minimal snark. He doesn't seem to be upset by it. He doesn't want to make a big deal of it. But I feel that they were disrespectful towards him and I don't want to set a precedent of him just accepting being excluded and me not saying anything about it. I'm absolutely furious, and the only reason I haven't confronted my mom yet is because I need time to think through what I want to say without being overly aggressive or hurtful until I hear the whole story. I looked up the ticket prices, and they're around $200 each for the section we got. If money was an issue, I would have gladly paid for my spouse's ticket. Tickets are still available in the section and row they purchased. Limits were 8 tickets, and they purchased 6. Would I be the asshole for calling and confronting my mom about this situation? Edit for some more context. I never expected my mom to buy my spouse a ticket. I just thought it was odd that she bought 6 and then acknowledged she did not get one for my spouse. I never asked her to buy me a ticket. She had never said she was thinking of buying the tickets. If she had brought up that she was thinking of getting tickets but could only afford so many, I would have gladly paid her back for mine and my spouse's, but I was never given the opportunity. I'm planning on giving up my ticket unless I can rectify the situation and have my spouse come with. I'm not interested in going without him since we've both been excited about it since my cousin brought up the idea. This doesn't seem like a pattern. You're getting your nose pretty far bent out of shape for what is likely a misunderstanding. Clear the air, but don't go in assuming malice. Little bit asshole here, but not enough for an official verdict. You don't have to confront your mother. Why not just ask if your fella can come along too and you'll get him a ticket? You might find it was an oversight or there could be a really good reason. But you won't know until you ask. No point getting worked up if you don't need to. Not the asshole for wanting to ask. But why don't you just buy a ticket and let your mom know he really wants to come so you've bought him a ticket to come with? I don't know why it should be an issue if he's family and treated as such. Am I the asshole for encouraging my daughter's friend to go on a diet? Hello Reddit. I am familiar with this subreddit from Facebook and I am a bit of a lurker, but I am in a bit of a tizzy with this situation. I have changed the names for privacy. I, 42F, am the mother to 3 girls aged 15, 12, and 9. This issue involves my middle daughter, Natalie, and her best friend Alice. Several weight-exacerbated diseases all run in our family, so health and fitness are really important to us. We have family workout sessions, we put a heavy emphasis on nutrition education, moderation, and the importance of listening to what your body is telling you. I don't keep my children on a specific diet, I don't count their calories. It's not a lifestyle that is for everyone, but my children are happy, motivated, bright, and healthy. Natalie and Alice have been friends for several years now. Alice comes to our house regularly to visit. Alice is a bigger girl. I am not sure what she eats at home, but she often is over at our home for dinner, and while I am happy to feed her, she is constantly griping about the food I cook. She is quick to call our food weird, smelly, gross, etc., and often flat out refuses to eat what I've cooked. We don't have snacks in our house, only fruits and veggies, which she also often complains about. This evening Alice was over, and I cooked salmon with rice and veggies. I called everyone to the table, and when Natalie and Alice came downstairs, Alice audibly gagged at what I had cooked. I was at a tipping point, so I told her that maybe if she would try some of the food I make that she'd be surprised that it was both tasty and that it was good for her body. She sat in silence for the rest of the meal and was picked up shortly thereafter. Her mother called me to cuss me out and started accusing me of fat-shaming her daughter and how not all of us could be a tiny little malnourished twig that stays home and plays house while my husband works all day. She told me I was to never talk to her daughter that way ever again and asked me if it would kill me to throw some chicken tenders in the oven for the kids and my husband and I could eat whatever fro fancy food we wanted to which I told her that I only cook one meal and that all of my other children's friends eat my food no problem, or politely decline when I've made something they don't like. I didn't even comment on her daughter's body, so I'm not sure where the fat-shaming accusation even came from. I am also an ex-fat girl myself, my BMI was almost 40 at my heaviest, so I know how bad a miscalculated comment can hurt, so I wouldn't be so flippant with a kid. I was pretty mad at the accusation, but now I'm cooling off. The way I said it could have sounded bad to Alice, and that's where I think I might be ta. I told my husband about it and he thinks I could have probably phrased it better, but that I was right. But now I have both Alice's grandma and aunt in my DMs calling me ta. Am I the asshole? Info. What did you say in response to Alice? Also, I feel like I've seen this exact same post on this sub before. Not the asshole. No child is permitted to speak disrespectfully to me. Easy fix here. Don't allow the child to dine with you and block any of the idiot adults in her life. Esh. You are the asshole and an almond mom. You are the asshole. You aren't this girl's parent or pediatrician, you shouldn't be discussing her diet. Am I the asshole for not giving my landlord money? I, 20F, started living with my landlord, 64F, 8 months ago. Right off the bat we established some rules to be followed. I'd have my own room and we'd share the kitchen, balcony and bathroom. She owns the place, so she makes all the rules for me, but doesn't follow any of them. I can't bring anyone to sleep or even stay a couple of hours except for my mom. Also, I always have to tell her in advance. I have 1 glass, 2 cups and 3 plates I can use. While she uses everything, including the dishes I use. Every Sunday she'd bring her children, in-laws and their children as well, for lunch and they'd stay a couple of hours. And every time I wanted to eat I'd have to wash the dirty dishes they used. Sometimes she would also take the only chair I have in my room if one of them didn't feel like sitting on the couch. This all bothered me, but not that much, so I stayed quiet. I'm in a hard place financially and have been for my entire life. She knew that and maybe event took advantage. The bigger problem started when she neglected her dog, Laura. Last month she said she's going on vacation on June 1st. I thought she'd either bring Laura with her or leave her with some family until she gets back. But she left the dog alone in the apartment for 14 days. Her son came once every day to walk her and give her food. But Laura still shit all over the apartment. Every time I came home the smell was unbearable. I also couldn't open the window in my room since it leads to the balcony, with shit all over it. I couldn't cook anything either. Her son never cleaned the apartment, just took the dog outside for an hour. One day I lost it. I cut my arm at work and had to get stitches. I just wanted to get home and lay down. Then I saw the dog got diarrhea because her diet was changed, and that it was all sitting there for hours or days. I took my phone out and filmed the apartment, zooming in on everything, and sent it to my landlord with a caption. Since the apartment looks like this and I have no time to clean it, but I also can't live here when it's like this, I'll be staying somewhere else for a couple of days. Just so you know. I immediately started looking for other places to move, and when I found one I called her and said I'd be moving out on June 30th. It was June 15th when I told her. Then she started calling me rude for sending her that kind of video while she was on vacation. I told her that kind of video is what your apartment looked like while you were not there. She told me I need to pay her rent again because I told her I'll be moving out 15 days in advance instead of the whole month. She also won't give me my deposit back, even though I never broke or damaged anything or brought someone without asking or broke any other rules we made. And while she agreed I followed all the rules, she still demands the money. So am I the asshole for not giving her the money, or is it reasonable why I left so quickly? Info. Do you have a signed lease? What was the amount of your deposit, and what state are you in? Tenant laws exist for a reason. Most states protect the deposit. She has 30 days to give it back, but you need to give her your new address in writing. Once you have it in writing, take her to small claims court and you have a 100% chance of winning. It costs anywhere from $75,150 to submit a claim, but it's worth it if your deposit was hefty. However, if you don't have a lease, this is no longer the case. If you do not have a lease, don't give her any money. Move out your expensive belongings so she can't steal it when she returns. Do not tell her you plan on paying it, otherwise you could be liable. Not the asshole. Legally it depends. Ask a lawyer instead of Reddit. But morally your landlord deserves to have to roll around in the mess made by her dog and then to have to clean it with her toothbrush. A landlord is supposed to provide accommodation in exchange for money, not a biohazard in exchange for money. Info. Is your rental agreement in writing? Not the asshole. In normal situations, you'd absolutely be wrong. But she is responsible for keeping the place inhabitable, and she didn't do that. You owe her nothing. Not the asshole. Get out if that place. Tell her the deposit is what she can keep, and if she continues to harass you, you will publish the video on social media so people know the kind of person she is. Move out quick. Am I the asshole for having my son miss his graduating road trip to watch his sibling? My son just graduated high school and we were paying so he could go on a road trip with his friends. He was supposed to go Wednesday. My wife's mother and father got in a car accident. They live in another state, so we had to drive about 4 hours. My wife was a wreck and wasn't in the position to drive since her dad was critical. He pulled through luckily. We have 2 other kids, 11 and 7. We can't leave them at home alone and we couldn't find a sitter to watch them on such short notice. We even tried our neighbors but he couldn't do it. So that left our 18-year-old. He was pissed to put it mildly but did it. I told him we would make it up to him, and if he could ask if his friend could move it back a week. They couldn't sadly. We were gone for 2 days, he pulled though. My wife stayed and I headed back. I paid him for watching the kids and went to talk to him about getting him on the trip. It was supposed to be 2 weeks and they should just be a state over. He blows up about ruining his trip and there is no point going even though it should still 12 days of the trip. He called up a jerk and locked himself in his room. I need another opinion since this was emergency and he doesn't seem to care. His grandparents almost passed. Edit. Well, he called his mom. Let's say it didn't end well. He did say basically said the same thing he said to me. Wife had a breakdown on the phone with him. She sent him the injuries and pictures of grandpa, grandma. He finally came out of his room and told me he isn't going to go on the trip and the plane tickets aren't needed. Talked to my wife, never heard her that mad. Son confirmed what happened. He started yelling at her the moment the call started and she lost her shit when he called her selfish. On good news, grandpa has some feeling back in his legs, which was a huge concern. For people saying we didn't have emergency plan, we do. First, my closest friend vacation. Main babysitter not available. Backup babysitter not available. Last resort grandparents hospital. We tried to find someone that why we even asked our neighbor, which I have a good relationship with. This will be my last update. Had a conversation with my son about everything. Mom and him will have a conversation when she calms down. His friends are not a state over, they are about 2 down at this point and going to Mexico. They are probably will get to the border tonight. They were supposed to be going to California. He had his passport and everything ready. This is a fucking mess. I haven't informed my wife yet and will wait until she is calmer. I'll leave off with I hope none of you ever have to deal with a situation like this, and please remember your parents are human. Info. If your son had already left for the trip, what would you have done with your 2 kids? In Ta it's shitty, yes, but there are 12 days left? Can he not fly to where they are and go from there? What's there a reason you didn't take the younger kids with you? They're at ages where you don't have to keep your eye on them every single second. It shouldn't have been that much a bother. Not the asshole. Y'all people have no sense of family. Y'all are selfish people. No assholes here. IDK. I'm really shocked at everyone saying bring the 7 and 11-year-old. He missed 2 days of a 12-day trip for a life-threatening emergency. He can be disappointed, but I would have done the same.